Welcome to the commentary booth, where we watch and, you guessed it, commentate on the week that was in movies and TV. I'm your host and play-by-play commentator Jamie Apps, and each week I'll be joined by a rotating cast of colour commentators to help you find your next viewing treat. This week I'm joined by, I still have him down here as the drink-stealing Buddy McClelland, but he's the...
What stealing? Oh, the drink stealing.
The drink stealing. But I think this week he's been adventuring all over the place.
Yeah,
welcome to the show, Buddy McClelland.
COVID.
Yeah, that's pretty difficult up in Wollongong.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Everyone seems to have had it, or is getting it, or is in isolation. So, yeah, just trying to keep my head down.
Yep, and you've been successful so far. Jackson was successful. I was successful. Just
touch wood. I don't know how I've dodged it. Like, it's been COVID positive people have been in the house and been around people that have had it, and yeah, I don't know. It's like everywhere I check in gets an alert. I don't know. I'm just hoping for the best. Just Team Pfizer.
Yeah, well, I just don't go anywhere, and then the places that I do go, I get the alert. Like, you may have been in contact with someone. I'm like, Jesus.
I think it's inevitable for me. Like, I'm going to have to go back to work in a school classroom where they've changed the rules now. So it's, even if there's a kid in your classroom that has COVID, you're not a close contact, despite me being in the classroom with them for 6 hours in a whole day. It's just, I'm pretty much guaranteed it's going to happen now, I think, but it's just when, and I'd really prefer for it to be not while I'm on holidays. So at the moment, it's kind of just going to the golf course and to the beach and like not going out to the pub or anything if I can avoid it.
Yeah, like I went to the supermarket and the hospital and it was like, you may have been in contact with someone. And I'm like, okay, the hospital is huge and they have you check in at the very front door. And I didn't speak to anyone except for the pharmacist. So I think I'm okay.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like the amount of people that I've talked to that are like risking having to get COVID to either get a booster shot or get a RAT test from somewhere. I mean, like one of our friends they went into, I think, 3 or 4 different chemists looking for those RAT tests, couldn't get any, and had alerts come up on each of them.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
scary stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. And we had a big storm the other day. I feel like if they weren't shutting down enough of the testing sites, the testing tents would have blown away anyway. We had a barbecue get blown off of the balcony here and land down onto the street from at least sort of 5 to 6 stories. One of those like the solar panel powered like COVID testing here, those big signs they put on the side of the road, that blew over on itself. Someone's outdoor furniture, like glass tables, those glass tables that everyone seems to have.
Yep.
Took off a balcony, flipped, landed down, shattered.
Jesus.
Yeah, if there wasn't a problem with COVID testing sites before that, I feel like they would have just let a few blow away at that point.
Yeah, that storm was ridiculous. Like, you guys got absolutely hammered and I didn't even get like a shower of rain. It was nothing.
No, we got battered, absolutely battered. It was probably one of the worst storms I've ever had up here.
Even though like the Apple weather app was telling me all day, 90% chance of rain, it's going to rain, it's definitely going to rain. Nothing.
Hey, we got your rain. Like it was mostly hail at one point. My outdoor balcony, 10 stories up, flooded about 2 inches deep in water.
Wow, that's a lot of rain. Lucky that barbecue didn't land on someone on the street.
Yeah, I mean, the power lines and stuff went out. I know, creepy enough, I saw a report that one of the, like the crucifixes on top of the church got hit by lightning. And then right near that, one of the trees came down on power lines. So there was blackouts, there was sirens everywhere. And just to add to that, it felt like the apocalypse. Like it was a crazy storm. And then once it finished and everything calmed down, I get one of our mates posted and was like, oh, there's a tsunami warning now. Like,
that was me.
That's the end. It's happened. I've survived COVID, but the tsunami's coming. It's deep impact all over again.
You'd been right. 10 stories up, you'd have been fine.
Yeah, well, at that point, I had a couple of wines and just stood out in the balcony and waited, but nothing seemed to happen.
Oh, at least you survived. What else have you been up to? You've been traveling around a bit as well? Finally?
Yeah, we managed to get down back to an Airbnb and stayed down in Mollymook. We stayed in one of those, it was like a dome, like pod tent thing. We tend to like those sort of little rural tiny house situations. So that was a bit of a different one. But the only thing that got us with this one, it was lovely, cool tent. They built this like really nice deck out to this stunning view and brilliant location. But the shower and sink situation was kind of in like a little pod within the tent. So it was kind of sectioned off and had its own plastic sliding doors and everything. That was fine. But the toilet was next to the bed behind a curtain.
Yeah, that's no thank you.
Yeah, I was a bit uncomfortable. Even we've been married now for almost a year and been together for 10 years. And it was just still, we had to like leave the pod.
Like, can you just go and stand on the balcony for a bit?
Yeah, just taking in the view.
Yeah, that's weird. How did the dog go in the bush, basically?
She was okay in the bush. She tried to run off at one point, but managed to catch her, thankfully. She's funny at the beach. We took her to the beach. She's terrified of the water.
Yep, Toby was like that.
Yeah, every time the waves slide in, like they went in scary waves, she just runs away and just goes backwards and forwards with the ocean.
Yep. Yeah, Toby was like that. And then I took him to Basin and he like went all the way out where he was swimming, like he couldn't touch the ground. And now we go to the beach and he's like, I'm going in here, bye.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've never seen her swim.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of it makes noise and it feels weird and they don't like it. But then once you get them in just like calm water, they're like, okay, this is cool. I'm not going to die.
I don't know. Wait and see.
So yeah, like I took him out to Cobra last weekend when it was sunny and he just runs in the water like, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's good.
What have you been checking out recently amid the storms and chaos?
I've had a real mixed fortnight. I've got really hooked within on the new season of Queer Eye. So they're on season 6 on Netflix. I am hooked on that show, man. As soon as it comes out, and it's one of those shows that thankfully comes out in a big batch. Like it's the whole season, just here you go, binge it.
Yeah, they don't week to week, yeah.
Don't week to week me, and I love it. Like I just sat there and just powered through it within. And then when we ran out, we got sad. So that's usually a pretty good indicator of a show for us. If it's ended, you're upset by it. Still the same, like, characters, the guys that do everything. So it's Jonathan Van Ness does the hair, Tan does the fashion, Anthony does the food, Karamo does culture, and Bobby does like the housing stuff. But I just find it a really good insight into how far we've come since the original Queer Eye came out. And it's Queer Eye for the straight guy. And from then to now, to see how much more respect people have for people that are like gay, queer, whatever it might be, non-binary for Jonathan, and to see the way that they interact with different guests now. It used to be like, I felt like they were just really trying to work with homophobes all the time, and try and change people's opinions back in the day. But now it seems like they've got kind of a really good mix and that people respect them a lot more. And it's exactly how it should be. And it's funny, Anne and I were sort of sitting there watching it and saying how now it's becoming the next step is kind of introducing people into more of the non-binary or the transgender situations. Yeah. And people kind of coming to terms with that, which is shows it made us feel bad, I guess, in a way that people who are non-binary or who are transgender are having a hard time still, as are a lot of people, I guess, not to undermine other people's experiences. But it was nice to see that we've come far enough that the people that are homosexual are respected, but we're not still where we should be, I guess.
Yeah, that's like first couple of seasons of Queer Eye when we were still in high school, I think, when that came out. That was like groundbreaking TV, it felt like.
Yeah, and I mean, it was groundbreaking TV, but it was almost as a novelty, which is what made it sad. Like, to be fair, I think it was almost like a bit of a, I don't know, like, I don't want to liken it to, it's just a bit more of a look at me situation, like rather than respecting the people for what they did and their expertise, it was more, hey, look at this gay guy. Yep. I think now they're quite respected in not just being good at what they do, but I think the really good part about the new Queer Eye is that they obviously put a lot of time and thought into who they're going to put on the show. I think they did a big mix. They had they had women that were sort of charity workers. They did have a non-binary young person that was on there who had just transitioned. They had a homophobic cowboy, and everything's within Texas this time. It seems like because of COVID, they've kind of just restricted themselves to sort of Texas, which is a really interesting state.
The one state that didn't have any restrictions.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of the homosexuality thing, I find Texas is a really, I don't know, not contradictory, but it's just this really interesting state where so much of Texas is so conservative and hard line on everything they have. And then you kind of just got Austin sitting there, which is the total opposite. So the Queer Eye guys have based themselves out of Austin and then kind of ventured out into Texas. And it's given them a really good mix of people that are either very progressive or very conservative. And I think each of the episodes was really interesting to see who they got on. But yeah, overall, I think the way that the Queer Eye guys operate now is almost, they're very, very good at what they do with their hair and the housing and stuff like that. But I really love the conversations they have in the background seem to make a big difference for the person's sort of mental and emotional state. And it's kind of like the thing that they're doing is almost secondary to that. They take a lot of pride in being able to sort of change people's lives emotionally.
I imagine it was a pretty sort of uplifting watch, which is, I guess, what we needed this time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they had a COVID episode in there, but overall, it's like it is. I think that's the reason we watch it. I get the same sort of almost like the Ted Lasso vibe at the end of it, where you feel happy that you've watched it. Yeah, definitely overall, but yeah, it does face some pretty hard stuff. They had a guy that was a widower who had lost his wife, so kind of dealing with death. And then they had other people who have lost people during COVID and stuff like that. So it wasn't completely all the time just uplifting, which I think was probably a bit of that last Queer Eye, as groundbreaking as it was back then. I think they just tried to be just so happy and positive all the time. Whereas I think this season tries to take a bit more of a dive into things and kind of go deeper into people's lives rather than just let's make them look pretty.
Yep. And yeah, like I think that is the defining factor of Netflix now. When you look at all the streaming services that are available, I don't think Netflix has done anything where it's week to week releases yet. I'm pretty sure they still just do here's everything at once, no matter what.
I haven't really noticed, but I think you're right.
Like all the others do, okay, we're going to give you, at best, we'll give you the first 3 episodes, and then after that it's week to week. But I think Netflix has stuck true to their binge everything. Here's 8 hours of TV, go nuts.
Yeah, well, that's what got us on Netflix in the first place, wasn't it?
Yep. But then I'm coming around to the week to week more, which is weird. I'm slowly going back to it.
You it's like anything. You either binge it all and love it as you're binging it, but then you run out really quick, or you get drip fed to you week to week and you're upset that you can't watch more, but at least you've not run out. So yeah, I don't know the answer to that one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Ozark season 4 this week. I'll be binging that entire season in a weekend.
I tried. I got through the first couple of seasons and then kind of faded away.
Okay, yeah, I'd suggest going back and watching 3. I think season 2 sort of dipped and then 3 brought it back a bit and ended on a crazy note. So that's why I'm so keen for the new season.
Yeah, I'll have to get back into that one.
And then on the Netflix binge front, I watched the entire season of Cobra Kai, season 4, when it dropped on New Year's Eve. 10 episodes, they're about 30 to 40 minutes each, and like it's one of those ones where I was just like, oh, just one more. And then next thing I knew, I'd watched 6 episodes and I was like, okay, I'm going to bed. I'm just going to wake up the next day and watch the final 4 episodes. And yeah, really cool spin on it this season. We got Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence. Instead of sort of feuding, they sort of feud a little bit, but for the majority of the season, they're teaming up because they realize the enemy of my enemy has to be my friend. So they sort of join forces to go, right, we need to work together to get rid of Cobra Kai, which is now led by Terry Silver and John Kreese. It was cool to see Terry Silver come back from, I think he was in The Karate Kid 2, which that's probably the coolest thing about this show. Like they really have put in a lot of effort to bring back the original actors from the Karate Kid movies and then make it feel like a continuation of those movies whilst also being a fresh new story rather than just we're just continuing on with the same people doing the same things.
Yeah, similar to what they did with that new Home Alone we looked at.
Yeah, but this is done well. That was done poorly. And this season was all building up towards the All Valley tournament. So sort of the big key thing that happens in the Karate Kid, Cobra Kai universe. And with LaRusso and Lawrence teaming up, we sort of see the fighters and the kids sort of grow and become much more well-rounded people as well as karate fighters. So obviously Miyagi-Do is all focused on defense and counter-attacking, whereas Johnny Lawrence's new dojo called Eagle Fang, they are all about offense. So we sort of see the kids sort of working together and taking bits and pieces from each and creating their own style, which I think is what this season was all about. It was like that growth and taking bits and pieces from the people around you to create your own thing and find your own identity. There was a pretty big cameo at the All Valley tournament as well. Carrie Underwood randomly pops up at the start of the tournament just for a random singing thing. Like, I'm just going to show up and introduce the tournament and sing my hit song at the moment. I'm like, okay, that's weird.
Bit of product placement there for you.
Seemed super unnecessary, but okay.
Yeah. I don't know, would there be much of a crossover between Cobra Kai fans and Carrie Underwood fans?
I don't think so.
Very random mix.
Like, it was the weirdest. I was like, maybe like a rapper or something. Like,
yeah,
someone under the Sony Records label that's not Carrie Underwood. Like, it just seemed very strange.
Yeah, random.
I imagine they're going on like age demographics of people that grew up on Karate Kid are probably in the demo of Carrie Underwood music fans.
Well, look,
but
I've got kids in my class that are hooked on Cobra Kai that are like 15-year-old kids. So if they come in starting to want to listen to Carrie Underwood, I'll let you know.
Okay, if that happens, then we know it was a successful partnership.
Yeah, they were. They nailed it.
I think the craziest thing about this show is though that they being a wrestling fan, they kind of tell better WWE style stories than WWE does itself. Like, they do a great job of building up the bad guys so that you absolutely hate them and can't stand them, but then you see them over the course of the series, they grow as people, and then when they flip and become good people, it's like, okay, that was worth it, and I felt like it was earned. It wasn't just, okay, now I'm a good guy for no reason.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair to the WWE people, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but to be fair to the WWE people, they have to get all that character in the space of just before a fight and in the fight in the ring, whereas the Netflix series, you get to see the ins and outs of their entire life. So WWE guys are doing the best they can with the time they can.
Yeah, they get like a 90-second promo to get across a whole character arc, and then
yeah, exactly. Cobra
Kai have 10 episodes, 30 or 40 minutes
and they
each.
can show you any facet of their life that they want to.
Yep. And yeah, like, I can't think of a bad season of this show. Like, season 4 was just as good as the previous ones. So yeah, I don't think there's been a bad season so far, which has me excited for season 5, especially the way this season ended. Cobra Kai's now looking like they're more menacing than ever as they're looking to expand across the valley and across the state. So hopefully we'll see that sooner rather than later, but probably I think the last 2 seasons have dropped on New Year's Eve, so most likely we're going to have to wait until the very end of 2022 for season 5.
2023.
Yeah, how weird does that feel? It's like on TikTok I keep saying...
listening to a song now from the year 2000 is the same as listening to a song in the year 2000 from 1978.
Why would you do that to me?
I know. It got me too.
It's like on TikTok I keep seeing videos of, hey, did you know these songs are turning 20 or 30 years old today? And it's just like,
weird.
Jesus, I feel really old. Because they play the songs. I'm like, I love that song. Oh my God, I'm really old.
Yeah, get me my walking frame.
It's like when we went to Illawarra Retro and they start playing songs, you're like, no, this was from when I was in high school. Like, no.
That's when you realise that you're retro.
Yep. And you've been watching a sequel to another show that you spoke about last time and loved?
Yeah, a prequel. So I've been watching 1883 on Paramount Plus, which is big. Like, it's a good show. I was ready to get rid of Paramount Plus, and this hooked me right back in there. So written by the same writers for Yellowstone. It was a bit weird to have Yellowstone on Stan and then have to go across to Paramount Plus for the prequel to that. I didn't go into it with very high hopes because I thought they was going to try and milk the Yellowstone cow for all it's worth. But really, really hooked on it. Really good show. Really funny crossover again, I guess, with the Carrie Underwood thing, is it's got Tim McGraw and Faith Hill as the main characters as James and Margaret Dutton. So it follows the Duttons as they try and get out of sort of a famine, poverty-ridden Texas and take themselves into their new life in Montana. And they kind of team up with some other people, some German immigrants, and try and move themselves through the Wild West, and kind of follows the trials and tribulations of trying to get across there. Really good show. So it's been drip fed, like we said. So it's only once per week. They did that thing where they dropped the first 3 episodes, and now everything after that is one a week. But again, another really good indicator of it, just like I said with Yellowstone, that if my wife is watching something to do with cowboys and enjoying it, the writers must be doing something right. We have not once watched like a cowboy Indian Western film, and she is hooked on 1883. So whatever they're doing it well. And it's the drama that goes with it. And I guess knowing that in the back of your mind, knowing that Yellowstone, they made it to Montana. So knowing that it's kind of going to work out, but seeing how they get there, it's been really good, really dramatic, and makes you feel the hard times of what it must have been like to live back then. Even crossing rivers was just absolutely deadly, and sort of 10, 15 people died every time they crossed a river, which now you just go over it in your car, no worries. Like, it just really shows you like the hard stuff they had to go through back then just to even move house or move place. So really enjoyed it, really enjoying it coming out every week, and loving that I can kind of continue watching something related to Yellowstone while I wait for Yellowstone to restart again.
Yellowstone finished on a big cliffhanger this season, didn't it? I think. Yeah,
they always do. So yeah, I'm surprised. Like, I didn't think they were going to cliffhanger it as much as they did, and I thought they were kind of angling towards having it end, but it really seems like they're going to come back in full force again. So yeah, I love both of them. Very surprised that I love anything to do with cowboys, because I never was a big rancher fan up until this started, but now getting my cowboy hat and my whip, and I'm right into it.
Yeah, you mentioned Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. My mum flipped out when she put the first episode on and they were in the show. She was like, "Oh, I love this show now." I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I was the opposite. I didn't realise that that's who they were. I was shocked to find out that was Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, and then to find out they were a couple. So credit to their acting. I just thought they were actors.
Well, that's a good sign. They're not just like, They didn't just go and find 2 massive country music stars and chuck them in for the sake of chucking them in.
Oh, exactly. They absolutely nailed it. Like, couldn't believe it. The only problem I have with it is Elsa, who's the younger daughter of the Duttons that's kind of going along with them. It just seems like every opportunity to try and make anything poetic, they literally put a poem over the top of it and have it happen. And after a while, it gets a bit old having to listen to her poetry. And all I can think of every time she speaks is do you remember the episode of Family Guy where he was saying "Cool Whip"? There's the W and the H. Why are you saying like that? It's Cool Whip. And now I've noticed in her voice, she says "whoop" over and over.
Oh God!
When we had to go, and I'm like, oh, just stop, just speak normally. And every time she gets poetic, all I hear is that, and it kind of ruins it. So my only problem with it is they're trying to make it a little bit too poetic and not just kind of go with the drama that's on the screen. But other than that, I love it.
I wonder if she speaks like that because she might have she might be an English actress, or she has like a really strong accent that a dialect coach has tried to force out of her for this specific role.
Yeah, I feel like it would be for the role. I get the vibe that it's kind of maybe the way they spoke back in that time, and then that real focus on that. I don't know. To be fair, I don't really notice it during the actual scenes. It's just in those sort of moments of her having her little poetic reflections that get to me. So I don't know. Very noticeable. Now I've said it to you, you'll hear it.
Yeah, once you spot it, you can't unsee it.
100%. And every episode it happens.
Oh, that's great. And you mentioned sort of it being weird that it was on Paramount, not Stan. I wonder if that's like because it is a Paramount production, and I feel like Yellowstone is the outlier in that situation. I imagine they must have been signed to a contract pre-Paramount Plus even being discussed or being a thing.
Yeah. And well, good luck watching Stan let go of it. Stan will never let go of that show.
No, it's their biggest show, so they're just going to pay whatever they have to pay to keep it. But yeah, I wonder if the contract ends at any point, if Paramount just go, no, we're not, no matter what you want to pay us, we're not letting you have it because we need to boost our own streaming service. Yeah, Season 6 will be the interesting one.
Yeah, it pulled me back across because otherwise Paramount Plus is still having that problem for me where it's just not enough interesting things to watch on there. But then this show's pulled me back across week to week. So yeah, loving it. Just waiting for the next episodes. I think it's 4 episodes in at the moment. So yeah, a good amount of time to catch up.
Well, I might break your heart with this announcement. There's no new episode this week.
Ah. Yeah, you know what? There wasn't a pattern to it before either. I had a hard time working out when the new ones were coming out. So I actually had to Google it. Yeah. That's
weird. Isn't it every Friday or Thursday or Friday?
I thought that. I actually think it came out, was it the 9th? So whatever date that was. But yeah, it was kind of weird. I thought it would come out in line with the Yellowstone episodes maybe, or something similar to that. But
I think the first episode did. I think the first episode came out at the same time as one of the Yellowstone episodes, but then I think after that they switched to like a Friday or a Saturday or something.
Yeah, I guess that's the struggle when it's on 2 separate services in one country as well. So.
Yep. And yeah, I think they're off this week, and I think they're back on the 31st, I think I read. So yeah, just to kill you a little bit.
And did you to keep myself out of isolation?
Did you get Paramount Plus directly through Paramount, or did you get it through like Amazon?
Or Apple? Through the Apple TV.
Okay, yep. Smart. Very smart move. Because, like, obviously you won't get... When you purchase it through Apple or Amazon, you don't get access to the live A-League and the sports stuff, but you get the replays. But I found when I had the Paramount Plus app, their, like, schedule of dropping episodes was all off. Like, it just, sometimes it worked perfectly, sometimes it just took like 2 days for an episode to show up. So I was watching Dexter New Blood week to week, and they announced new episodes 8 p.m. Sundays every week. You'd get on there at 8 p.m. on the Sunday, no new episode. You'd look on the Paramount channel on Amazon or Apple, and it was up there Sunday morning. So I cancelled my Paramount Plus direct subscription, the yearly subscription, and then just got the monthly subscription through Amazon, and it's worked perfectly fine since.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I actually did notice with looking at the bottoms of the episodes when they were released, for some reason underneath it is only like one of them, or the first drop that they had last year was released as 1st of January 2021, and then the new one came out as 1st of January 2022. So it's hard to even work out the pattern off of the bottom of it. So yeah, whatever's going on there is a bit of a mix. So we'll see. It's the same thing with Paramount Plus we say every time. Like it's got the potential to be really great. They make a lot of good stuff. It's just not quite there yet.
And yeah, like there's I've started watching a lot more on there actually since I got it through Amazon. I've watched Mayor of Kingstown, loved that show. I've just started Yellow Jackets and really enjoying that. They just put up Quiet Place Part 2, so there's plenty of stuff on there. So I think it's just a matter of digging in and actually putting in the effort to watch some of their shows, because there's a lot of like original shows that nobody's talking about when you just have to sort of watch them and give them a chance, and then you find out that they're really good. Like Mayor of Kingstown, no one was talking about it. I watched it purely because Jeremy Renner's in it, and I was on that sort of Hawkeye binge momentum thing, so I chucked that on. I was like, okay, yep, this is cool. Love this show.
Yeah.
And then the other show I've been watching week to week is the new Star Wars live action on Disney Plus, The Book of Boba Fett. Have you checked it out at all?
I haven't yet. To be fair, I didn't quite finish Mandalorian, so I need to finish that first, and then get across to Boba Fett. I saw it, and I'm kind of just sitting on it waiting to go. So, is it worth watching?
If you like The Mandalorian, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. So you haven't finished Mandalorian, so you haven't seen the final episode of that, have you?
I haven't, no.
You need to watch that. There's a big moment at the end of that.
Right, okay. Because I got to the part, where was I? He started carrying like a lizard egg around. Like he had Baby Yoda, and then he was taking something out, and it was like a lizard planet or something like that, and it kind of lost me.
Oh God, was that season 1?
Nah, it was the second season, I think.
Oh, it's very early in season 2 then, I think.
Yeah, that's where I got to, and I kind of was like, this is weird. I just kind of stopped. So I'll get back on there. If you say it's good, I'll trust you.
Yeah, there's a huge moment at the end of it that you'll flip out over.
Okay. I feel, and to be fair, I think I really wanted, when the Mandalorian started, I remember wishing it was Boba Fett. So cool that they made the Boba Fett. I kind of wish it was flipped, but yeah, I was into that story before it started on this one, so it should be good.
Yeah, so like, obviously, if you're loving your cowboy thing, this is very much just Space Cowboy. There's 7 episodes. We're currently, they've shown 3. The 4th one comes out tonight of the episode releasing. Yeah, basically it's just Boba acting as a crime lord on Tatooine after taking over from Jabba the Hutt. And then, yeah, through a bunch of flashbacks, it's telling us the story of what happened to Boba between the Return of the Jedi movie and season 2 of The Mandalorian. So it's filling in a lot of those gaps of his backstory, which is really cool to see. I think the funniest part is that Parks and Rec basically predicted the very first episode of the Book of Boba Fett back in 2012.
How to do that?
Well, they have a scene where Garth Blunden is proposing an idea for the 7th Star Wars movie, and it's literally just the opening scene of the Book of Boba Fett, which is, I don't know whether, like, I'm assuming that the writers of the Book of Boba Fett saw that episode and were like, that's a cool idea. Let's just do that. And what else have we got? And on this season, so like the hand-to-hand combat sequences are really cool. Some of the action sequences are okay. Like there's episode 2, they try and rob a speeding like hover train. And that's like a cool action sequence in episode. But then episode 3 has a speeder chase through a town. And it felt like the slowest chase scene I've ever seen in any sort of production. It was like they were just in slow-mo, but they were supposed to be going like full speed through this town. That just was very weirdly done. But it's done a good job of, in these first 3 episodes, laying the foundations for it to pick up steam in the last 4. So it's set up that there's going to be basically a war over control of Tatooine between Boba, the Hutts, and the Pike Syndicate. And yeah, a lot like The Mandalorian. It's starting slow, but I think I think that's just the way these Star Wars TV series are going to be. They're going to start slow, really make sure that you know who the characters are, how they tie into the overall Star Wars universe and movies and stuff, and then pick up and finish strong with fresh new stories.
Yeah, it's good. Like, I'm glad that it was worrying when Disney got Star Wars. Didn't know where they were going to go with it, but so far so good.
Yeah, like I think episode 7 did a really good job. 8 not so great. 9 sort of fixed the issues. Be interesting to see where they go with the next trilogy of movies, but the live action TV shows have been really cool.
Yeah, I have to like that.
I'll be interested to see though if we get a second season of the Book of Boba Fett, or if we're just going to tell this story so that we have the background of him and then go back to the Mandalorian or onto the other spin-off Star Wars shows. So that'll be an interesting one to sort of keep an eye on what direction we head in next. And now a quick word from our sponsor. First up is Decorate and Dance. For them, life is a party. And now, as summer rolls around, the parties will be coming thick and fast. If you are hosting a party or an event, then all of the ingredients for a good time start with the 3 Ds. Design, decorate, and dance. You can't have a party without a theme, design, balloons, florals, and more, decorations, and some good tunes, dance. The team over at Decorate and Dance can provide it all. Specializing in kids' parties, adults' parties, hens' nights, baby showers, corporate events, and weddings. Decorate and Dance provide everything you'll need to have a great event. Book a designer, decorations, and a DJ for a party to be remembered at www.decorateanddance.com.au. That's www.decorate.com.au. Next up is LF9 Designs. You in need of a new logo or event posters, Twitch overlays or emotes, or even merchandise designs? Then look no further than the team at LF9 Design for all of your graphic design needs. The team there can provide anything you need to suit all styles. Check them out on Instagram at LF9 Design. Do you have anything else on your list that you've been checking out?
I did. I think you said you watched this one as well, the Harry Potter reunion.
Yes. I took my time to watch it. I didn't watch it. Yeah, I didn't watch it immediately when it first dropped, but I checked it out in the last week or so.
Yeah, I watched it the day it came out, and it was the perfect level of like nostalgic, happy viewing the day after New Year's Eve. So it was nice to kind of just hang out there with a pizza and kind of have the flashbacks of watching all the movies when they came out. What did you think of it? I liked it.
Yeah, I really liked it. It sort of, I think the coolest thing was just seeing Ron, Hermione, and Harry come back together and just get to sit down and chat about their experiences. Because, yeah, like they said, they spent, 10 years together, basically just grew up together making these movies and working with some of the top tier British acting talent without sort of even realizing how special that was for a lot of them.
Yeah, and like for me at the end of it, I felt like I was waiting the whole time for them to be like, this scandal happened or that scandal happened. It was just so nice that everyone kind of got to the end of it and everyone was respectful to each other and everyone got along. Like there wasn't any big, other than sort of every boy in there being like in the background in love with Emma Watson, and then her just saying that she loved them like a brother over and over and over again. Other than that, it felt like there was no real drama. Like it was just, they all had a good time. They all made these really great movies. I think other than the directors changing, it seemed really, really good.
I did like that they brought the directors in to sort of talk about how they felt about coming into something that obviously had, the first director had to follow up from the hype of the books, but then the next director had to follow up from, hey, those first 3 movies were awesome. Now I've got to carry it on, but give it my own spin. And then the same with the third director.
I think it's probably good though, like the story which is probably why I kind of faded away with the books as kind of a kid, and we grew up like 18 or whatever we were when the last one came out. But the books took a turn as well, so they needed to have that change. Like the first one was kind of really mysterious and like uplifting, and then it kind of got darker and darker as the time went on. So I guess it kind of worked out well in the end that they had different directors to take those turns a bit more sharp in the films, I guess, rather than kind of just slowly changing. They really had dark transitions.
Yep.
So yeah, and I really loved it. The reunion, going back to that, I really loved how they got them back into all the sets, and they were all sort of sitting in the common rooms or in the hall, and they were having those reunions within the places that kind of made them. So yeah, really good. The only kind of thing that came out of it for me is that Rupert Grint looks like he's had a super hard time compared to everybody else. For whatever reason, he just looked a bit weathered and like he was struggling a bit, but everyone else seemed to be just really upbeat about their time there and happy. And yeah, it was uplifting for me. Really good. Happy to watch. Sad to see how many of them passed away, actually.
Yeah, that was probably the hardest part, seeing just how many people are gone. And I think it was good that they did it on the 20-year anniversary of the first movie coming out rather than the 20-year anniversary of the last movie coming out, because if they'd done that in another 10 years' time, there would have been a lot more added to that list, I feel, which would have been very sad. There would have pretty much only been Ron, Hermione, and the kids.
Yeah, I guess the only drama that they did have, which isn't any fault of people from the movie, but I found that they dealt with it quite well, was obviously having to have had the input from J.K. Rowling in there. But in the time since they filmed the interview to now, she's come out as quite a racist, sort of transphobic person. So I think they managed that pretty well, sort of making sure they had the little kind of writing come up filmed in 2018 or whatever it was, and having her there but distancing themselves at the same time. Because I mean, they were part of a story that had a lot of those undertones that seemed to be fine in 2002, whatever it was, but not so fine now. So I think they walked that line really well and kind of addressed it without addressing it.
Yeah, it would have been very weird if they just totally ignored her and excluded her from this. So I think putting in the old interview from 2018 or 2019 was the way to go. It let them sort of include her thoughts on the movie and how special it was to the world, really, without having her there live currently.
Yeah, crazy that she told Alan Rickman how Snape was going to kind of end before she even written the books and told everyone.
Yeah, that was funny. But he had the inside track on how the story was going to end, and no one else did, and he wouldn't tell anyone.
Yeah, well played.
Especially when people were like asking him, like, "Why did you play that scene that way?" And he's like, "Don't worry, you'll find out."
Yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I did find a funny little fact though when I was just kind of having a look at it afterwards, that they kind of got a bit of nostalgia going, and they played different sort of childhood photos and things of different people as it was rolling. They actually used a photo of Emma Roberts, so she's the actor out of American Horror Story, and one of her childhood photos, and put it up as Emma Watson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that as well.
Yeah, and then they had to quickly try and take it back out afterwards, but everyone saw it.
Yeah, that's funny. Like, good on you. How do you get that wrong?
I know.
Just ask Emma for her actual photo. I'm sure they could have just rang Emma Watson and been like, "Hey, can we just get a childhood photo? Not just, let's just Google you and pick whatever photo pops up." Yeah.
And good on Emma Watson is so well rounded as a human. Like, she's got a really strong head on her shoulders, and it's kind of nice to see that most of them have made it out relatively well. They haven't kind of fallen into that Macaulay Culkin Home Alone sort of a trap, where they've become just sort of a jaded childhood actor. And it was really nice to see even, I've forgotten the name of the actor, but the guy that plays Draco in a
Tom Felton.
Yeah, and see him come out of it and actually have some new roles where he's not Draco and kind of make it out is really nice. Daniel Radcliffe's had the same. But yeah, I think Emma Watson, just in terms of her sort of personality and her, I guess, her activism behind the scenes that she's very strong-willed, strong-minded, and a strong person, which is good to see that they've come out of it as better people rather than worse.
Yeah, I think like she was the youngest of the main kids, but she feels like she's like the most mature now, and
yeah, definitely.
Like she's a megastar now. Like she's almost overtaken Daniel Radcliffe, I think.
Yeah, and she at the start had no acting experience, didn't she?
No.
Yeah.
None at all. Just like, just gonna do this thing.
Yeah. She fit the character.
I did like that she was. She talked about how she kind of had this big crush on Tom Felton, and he was just like, "No, you're like a little sister. You're that much younger than me. No."
Yeah, you look at him now, though. I don't think he feels the same anymore.
Yep, I'm pretty sure she probably still have quite a crush on him because he's not a bad looking bloke. And I laughed
I really liked it.
I laughed at Daniel Radcliffe, the note that he gave Helena Bonham Carter as well.
Yeah, and she read it back. Yeah, I love Helena Bonham Carter. She plays those roles so perfectly. That was a perfect role for her, Bellatrix.
Yeah, like I just laughed that she read it to him, and he basically was like, "If I was just a little bit older, I might have had a chance." Mate,
Or
like
she said
12.
that she actually got to have the part where she got to wave her wand, and it actually coincided with some of the special effects exploding, so it felt like she actually had done it.
Yeah, she was the only one that got to have like it feel like she actually did some magic.
Yeah,
that would have been so crazy.
Yeah,
and I laughed at
a lot of nice insights into the films over the years and into the actors and the characters. I was a bit worried going into it that it was going to have the feel of the Friends reunion, which was kind of a bit too Hollywood, and Justin Bieber comes out randomly and things like that. Like it really didn't do that, and it kind of took it away from a talk show and into a heartfelt interview sort of a situation. And I 100% liked it better than the Friends one.
Yeah, I think that was the big standout. They didn't do sort of have a talk show host interviewing them. They just put the three main actors in a room and like chat about what you remember and how you felt it throughout the time filming. I loved them sort of reflecting on the big Ron and Hermione kiss scene as well, where they couldn't do it for so long.
Yeah.
And then Emma was like, right, the only way this is going to happen is if I just do this, and dove straight into it.
Yeah. Yeah, it must have felt weird. Like they must have spent so much time together over such a long period. So yeah, crazy. Yeah. It was nice to see them at the end where they had just finished and they all kind of broke down and cried and hugged that they kind of made it to the end as well.
Yeah, like that would have been such a weird feeling. Like they were little kids and then all of a sudden they were like teenagers, and this is all they'd done for 10 years.
Yeah. It was great though that they kind of got the movies out in that run where they could keep the same actors as the characters grew up. Like it just worked out really perfectly for the story, that they didn't have to change out, not really, other than obviously a couple of people passing away or whatever. They didn't really have to change out many actors, so it kept that continuity and the kind of mystery there. So it was, I don't know. It's something that I still, if I have nothing else to watch, or if I feel like I'm just wanting something heartfelt or I need something nice to watch, I'll kind of go back through and do a Harry Potter marathon. So it was kind of nice to have that ending on top, that you see that in the background of it, that it was just as nice as it makes you feel watching the films.
Yeah, it made me want to go back and rewatch the movies.
Definitely.
And like you said, I don't think those movies would have been as special if they changed actors partway through. Like there was a chance that Emma wasn't going to come back, which would have, like, I don't think the movies would have been anywhere near as special if we had one Harry for the first 2 or 3 movies and then a new Harry for the next 2. It would have just been like,
But it's a credit to them that they stuck with it. Like it must have been really hard a lot of the time. And it was like Rupert Grint was saying, like he feels like, and it's probably where he had a hard time, that he feels like he lost the line of where he was Rupert and where he was Ron. And he became Ron almost.
Yep. Yeah, it would have been so hard as such young kids. And then lastly, you watched a new Amazon movie. What did you think of The Tender Bar?
Yeah, The Tender Bar was okay. It's directed by George Clooney, starred Ty Sheridan. So he was the actor out of Ready Player One, if you remember the video gamey sort of movie. And it follows him as JR, so a young guy trying to develop a career in writing and his experiences in his uncle, who's played by Ben Affleck, in his bar called the Dickens. So it kind of follows him struggling without his own father, who is a radio presenter that he just kind of hears all the time, and learning to become a man and try and follow his dreams and become a writer in the experience of someone kind of sitting in a bar from a very young age. So, I mean, it was good. I found it, you can definitely tell it was coming from a, being based on a book. And I found the story good, but not great.
Yep. Yeah, I kind of felt the same. Like, as someone that writes, I was like, yeah, this is like an interesting movie, but yeah, it didn't really blow me away with anything outstanding. And then the end kind of just felt a bit flat as well. So I was like, oh, we're finished now.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing with it being, I'm not sure, I actually didn't look into the book if it was actually based on, it was a memoir, so I'm assuming it was actually based on the life of the actual JR. But I guess that's part of the part where it kind of leaves things open-ended, I guess, in people's lives, that stories don't always wrap up completely nicely.
Yeah, like the acting was great. Like Ben Affleck, I think that's one of his best roles, but yeah, the story-wise, it was kind of like, whatever. Just an hour and a half movie that makes you feel pretty decent at the end, but yeah, isn't one I'm going to be rushing back to rewatch, or probably wouldn't recommend strongly to anyone either. It's kind of just...
No, I found myself mostly getting stuck in the kind of not the nostalgia so much, but just looking back at like, oh my God, they have a house phone. Oh my God, they're using a typewriter. It was more about that than kind of following the story at points. So yeah, good. And I think they, like you said, they acted really well. The story was okay.
Yeah. I was expecting more from it when I saw George Clooney, Ben Affleck attached. I was like, this could be a really great movie, and kind of just like, whatever. It's a decent.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably why you haven't
watch.
heard much about it. You'd think hearing that those names are in there, that you'd hear it's like a big blockbuster, but yeah, kind of getting the reception it deserves.
I probably should have picked up on that when Amazon weren't pushing it super hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if they had faith in it, they'd have been, Amazon have the money to push stuff like that, like they did with Being the Ricardos. Like they pushed that super hard, whereas this one they were kind of just like, it's on our service now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's everything. What is your top recommendation for the week?
Oh, I would say probably have to go for two. If you're a Harry Potter fan, the Harry Potter Return to Hogwarts. But if you're a Yellowstone fan, definitely get behind 1883.
Okay, perfect. For me, it's Cobra Kai. Like I said, I don't think there's been a bad season yet, and this one leaves it open for another banger season at the end of 2020. What year are we?
When you get there.
Jeez. Alrighty, thank you for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. You can follow Buddy on Instagram at a.b_CSEE, and you can follow me on social media at JamieUpsMedia and at Pario Magazine. The bloody magazine came in this week and the printer stuffed it all up. All of the pages are in the total wrong spot. The front cover is halfway through the book. The centerfold is just a random page, so they have to reprint that. So there's been a big delay in getting that out.
Choose your own adventure edition.
Pretty much. I opened the box and looked at it and was just like, that's not the cover. That's not even the back cover. What the heck? And my first thought was, when it's printed out, they've printed it in the wrong order and haven't put the pages back in the correct order to staple it. But then I looked at it and I was like, no, these aren't even printed correctly. Like, this is just all out of whack.
That's right.
Don't know what's
Limited
happening.
edition.
Okay, so apart from that, the commentary booth is a fan-funded production of Jamie Ups Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine, Pario Magazine. Needs all the support it can get at the moment. On Patreon at patreon.com/Jamie Ups Media. The following people supported at the community support group level or higher, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support. Blake Robinson, Brian and June Hart, Courtney Paulson, Jackson Carr, and Tracy Apps.